According to the Sufi psychology, the concept of soul is often associated with the qualities or traits that are beyond egoistic concern. The soul is typically seen as a very deeper spiritual and essential aspect of a person that kind of transcends beyond time and beyond ego. There's something that goes back to Allah. There's something that goes back to God because the bodies would disintegrate into the earth, but there is something that's more lasting, that transcends beyond time. And we need to preserve that. So the preservation of soul is a very important concept in Islam. Within the Islamic and spiritual psychology, we need to preserve our soul, preserve our heart, and all the characteristics that are positive within human beings. So, generally, egoistic traits are seen as being associated with ego or self, and then the soul related traits or the soul centered approach is to cultivate those traits that are more altruistic and more beneficial for yourself and others. And the need to eliminate negative or egoistic traits is because that they are harmful to either yourself or to others or the society that you live in. So some of the egoistic traits are selfishness. That is like selfish, egoistic behavior that individuals have, that they prioritize their own needs and desire and interest over the interest of other people. And that can be very selfish and it can hurt other people in the process. And not only hurt, sometimes it goes beyond jealousy, which is not being mentioned here. But jealousy is one of the other traits that can be very, very harmful to the relationships, not being able to thrive in families, because people are so much in the process of like competitiveness. So there's a trait that's mentioned here. The negative trait is competitiveness. Egoistic individuals may be overly competitive, seeking to outperform one another. And I want you to, as we go through this learning process, and we are talking about some of the egoistic traits, I want you to think and contemplate on what are the characteristics that you see prevalent in a society that you can say is very competitive and it's not healthy in a way. Some of the cultural practices may be very competitive. One of the example I can give you is in many of the cultures, in Eastern culture, there is there's a need to outperform in the huge gatherings, especially when there is like a wedding gatherings are arranged. If someone has, spent a lot of money and have a lavish gathering, they wanted to outperform and have done even more than what's been done previously in the other ceremonies. So there's this like unnecessary competitive behavior that you will see very prevalent in some cultures, and it may be more prominent in one culture than the other, but you would find that this competitiveness, this egoistic traits is found in many different societies and many different cultures throughout the world. So this course about purification of soul and this course about the egoistic traits, altruistic traits, and the nature of the soul and how we can really put ourselves on the path of improvement and path of self-development is not only applicable for only the Muslim students, but also very much applicable for anyone who's on the path of purification, who wants to advance, who wants to be a better person, who wants to give up all this like egoistic traits and not to be engaging in unnecessary comparative behavior just because it's not beneficial. So all those people can greatly benefit from this course. Materialism. Materialism is another characteristic that we have seen, which is very prevalent in some of the Western societies. Materialistic individuals place a high value on acquiring material possessions. So people are all about like brand names. They wanted to, display their wealth and possessions. They wanted to have the highest, most expensive cars that they can show that they are better than everybody else and they can afford it and they are very rich. And all those kind of, thinking and materialism is not really helpful or beneficial because it actually breeds the environment of competitiveness and kind of like give birth to those kind of characteristics in other individuals, that they would want to compete with one another, be materialistic, be more materialistic, maybe more, displaying their wealth. And not that necessarily everybody would do that, and not necessarily that a person would say, oh, I wanted to be materialistic, but these are very much subconscious. Sometimes we do things just by observation and seeing each other. And if we are not mindful and if we are not aware of these characteristics, which are egoistic, then we may be indulging into same kind of behavior like others. Greed is again a very common thing, which is also very unsustainable desire for wealth, possession, power. It could be wealth, it could be possession, it could be power. So greed can not be just limited to acquiring wealth and possessions, but power can be, or just display of authority, often on expense of other people. So that's again another characteristic that we can see, which is not very positive, and it's an egoistic trait. And then narcissism or narcissistic behavior are characterized by excessive self-love, sense of entitlement, and a lack of empathy for other people. So all these characteristics are very damaging to not only to personal relationships and to people who are within the circle, but also to others. And also when once they are displayed in a society can have a very negative effect. I do want you to think and contemplate on some of the negative effects that it has on your life or life of other people that you have been interacting with. Have you seen those examples in your life where you would say that selfishness has caused this kind of behavior, maybe breakdown of relationships or narcissism, greed or materialism? And all these characteristics are found within human soul, no matter where culture, tradition, religion they belong to, because this is a journey of a soul. And this is a journey of every individual soul that we should reflect and think about these qualities, characteristics that we wanted to cultivate, and what are the egoistic traits that we wanted to leave behind. So please do think about that, and I'll see you in the next section of the course.